an alternative entrance or exit. There are some more extreme theories raised in this case, which can be summarized as a body double and organ trafficking. Firstly, the body double. There are people who have taken pictures of Kenneka at the party and put them alongside screen grabs taken from the CCTV. The main differences they note are that her hair is thinner at the party than on the CCTV. Similarly, her body is thinner in photos from the party than in the CCTV. There are people who say that there are differences with her clothing. So in photos from the party, her jeans have holes in them and you can see her skin showing through. But on the CCTV, there is shredded thread and there's no skin showing through. People have therefore suggested that the person in the CCTV stumbling around the hotel was not Kenneka, but a body double, which leads to the question, why was there a need for a body double? Now let's talk about organ trafficking. The Global Financial Integrity estimates that 10% of all organ transplants, including lungs, hearts, and livers, are done via trafficked organs. One of the theories in the Kenneka Jenkins case is that she did not die from a tragic accident, but was murdered, possibly at the hands of an organ harvesting ring. Let's go back to 2015 for a moment. Documentation detailed what federal agents found when they raided a Schiller Park crematorium and the Rosemont office of the Biological Resource Center of Illinois, which arranged body donations for medical research. Agents found that the body parts were part of a body broker ring that illegally sold human remains on the black market. Both these buildings are within a 10-minute drive of the Crowne Plaza Hotel. There are many videos on YouTube discussing this matter in the context of Kenneka's case. One video, which I've linked in the show notes, suggests that the hotel was involved in the organ trafficking ring, which the host of the video said was rife in Illinois. His evidence was that the post-mortem photographs had blacked out the photo showing Kenneka's chest. He suggests that this was because organ traffickers had removed Kenneka's thymus. I had no idea what this was, but it is a specialized primary lymphoid organ of the immune system. In Kenneka's autopsy report, it does say that the thymus is not identified. However, it also states that all body parts are present in the normal anatomic positions. I'm not going to analyse all the CCTV and all the discrepancies, as we will be here for hours, but you should be aware that many critics believe the CCTV from throughout the hotel has been edited and manipulated, in particular the timestamps. There are many videos on YouTube which discuss this at length, so I encourage you to have a look at them. But by way of an example, in one of the pieces of CCTV from the kitchen area, you can see a clock mounted on the wall. However, in the next piece of CCTV, that same clock is missing. In other bits of CCTV, it is believed that you can see someone's hand grab Kenneka when she's by the stairwell, although others have put this down to her being intoxicated and so being unable to stand. Others claim to have seen shadowy figures moving through the kitchen area. The final theory we're going to take a look at is the Friends prank theory. Not a great name by me, but it sums it up pretty well. I'm not going to mention any names in this section, but there was an anonymous person on Instagram who claimed to be at the same party that night. She said that Kenneka was drugged and was experiencing adverse side effects, including a fast heart rate and overheating. It's alleged that one of Kenneka's friends asked the security guard at the hotel to open the freezer so that Kenneka could cool down. It was said some of the women at the party worked at the hotel, and so they knew the staff who worked there also, including the security guard. Skip forward, Kenneka's friends have put her in the freezer as a sort of practical joke. It suggested that the freezer might not have been on at this time. They have then left, returning to the hotel room, where some say they didn't mention Kenneka. Although one witness recalled that the friends said they searched for Kenneka, but thought she may have left with another friend, and so thought nothing of it. It's alleged that during the time Kenneka was in the freezer, she was murdered by hotel staff, which included that same security guard who knew she was in there. This then leads us back to the organ trafficking. What is interesting, and I will say this was first brought to light by Aboriginal Global Media on YouTube, but it's so interesting. It would seem that Kenneka's mobile phone was in her right hand pocket, in her back pocket, and the outline of it and the top of it poking out of her pocket can be seen on CCTV. You'll recall that her friends said that they initially left her to go and get some personal belongings of Kenneka's, which she had left in the room. This included her mobile phone. When they then went back to her, that's when she was missing. So how is it that she has her phone? Her friends were also the ones to return her mobile phone and car keys to her mother, Teresa. So how have they ended up with the phone again? The only thing that creates some issues with this theory is that the motion detecting camera did not pick up on anyone else in that kitchen. But it's an interesting theory. I'd like to hear what you guys think. 1 year after Kenneka's death, demonstrators marked the anniversary by gathering at the Crowne Plaza Hotel. This was the same spot that they had protested in the weeks following Kenneka's death. Some demanded that the case be reopened. Police had concluded that Kenneka's death was the result of an accident and had released dozens of photos and pieces of footage to support their conclusions. I have put the link to the Village of Rosemont website in the show notes, but please be aware that there are some graphic photos from the crime scene, so exercise caution. A private examination performed at the request of Kenneka's family concluded that there was no evidence of a physical attack or sexual assault. Rosemont's mayor, Brad Stevens, made the following statement, quote, "People see shadow images and all kinds of other things, and I don't know how and where they see that stuff, but that's the internet age we live in. People become experts and post it on social media channels. Demonstrators demanded the FBI be brought in, but the mayor said that as no new evidence had come forward in the case, there was no reason to seek any further assistance." As we talked about before with the protests and the demands for justice and equality for Black people, there has been a call for some cases to be reopened. These included cases of police brutality, such as that of Breonna Taylor, whose case has, as I understand it, has been reopened, and cases such as those of Kenneka Jenkins and Kendrick Johnson, where the families and communities do not feel that the case was investigated sufficiently at the time. I urge you to consider the evidence for yourself. Look at the CCTV, for example, and reach your own conclusions. I'll put the links to the petitions so that you can sign them if you so choose. And that concludes today's episode. Thank you so much for joining me, and I will see you on the next one. Remember, Black Lives Matter. This episode is dedicated to the following people who have lost their lives to police brutality since July 2014. Eric Garner, John Crawford III, Michael Brown, Azelle Ford, Dante Parker, Michelle Cusseau, Laquan McDonald, George Mann, Tanisha Anderson, Akai Gurley, Tamir Rice, Romaine Brisbane, Jerame Reed, Matthew Ajibade, Frank Smart, Natasha McKenna, Tony Robinson, Anthony Hill, Maya Hall, Philip White, Eric Harris, Walter Scott, William Chapman II, Alexia Christian, Brendan Glenn, Victor Manuel LaRosa, Jonathan Sanders, Freddie Blue, Joseph Mann, Salvador Ellswood, Sandra Bland, Albert Joseph Davis, Darius Stewart, Billy Ray Davis, Samuel DeBose, Michael Sabbie, Brian Keith Day, Christian Taylor, Troy Robinson, Ashams Pharaoh Manley, Felix Kumi, Keith Harrison McLeod, Junior Prosper, Lamontez Jones, Patterson Brown, Dominic Hutchinson, Anthony Ashford, Alonzo Smith, Tyree Crawford, India Kager, Levante Biggs, Michael Lee Marshall, Jamar Clark, Richard Perskins, Nathaniel Harris Pickett, Benny Lee Tigner, Miguel Espinel, Michael Knoll, Kevin Mathers, Betty Jones, Quintonio Legrier, Keith Childress Jr., Janet Wilson, Randy Nelson, Anthony Scott, Wendell Celestine, David Joseph, Kaylin Rockmore, Deshaun Perskins, Christopher Davis, Marco Loud, Peter Gaines, Tori Robinson, Darius Robinson, Kevin Hicks, Mary Truxillo, DeMarcus Seamer, Willie Tillman, Terrell Thomas, Sylville Smith, Alton Sterling, Philandro Castile, Terence Crutcher, Paul O'Neill, Alteria Woods, Jordan Edwards, Aaron Bailey, Rennell Foster, Stephen Clark, Antoine Rose II, Botham Jean, Pamela Turner, Dominique Clayton, Tatiana Jefferson, Christopher Whitfield, Christopher McCorvey, Eric Reason, Michael Lorenzo Dean, Breonna Taylor, and George Floyd.